Welcome. I'm Pat Galanfi, and we have a very special program for you today. It's kind of what I like to call getting to know my neighbors. And so today we are going to speak with Zach Jiwa. Is that right? And he's going to tell us some wonderful things about what he has planned, a special program he has planned, and some really fun things. And you're going to learn a lot about him and learn a lot about the kingdom of God through food, wine, and God, right? Yeah. That's what your program's called?
Correct.
Well, thank you for being here, Zach. Let's talk for a minute. So, Jiwa, that's an interesting name.
Yeah.
So, and I know there's probably something to do with your background and how you got to where you are. So tell us a little bit about who you are and how you came to Food, Wine, and God.
Yeah, so great question. Jiwa is actually, my father's name as we take on the name of our father. My father was Pakistani. He was is actually a Muslim man from Pakistan. Well, he was born in Mombasa, Kenya.
Oh, okay.
And I was born of, a brown Muslim man and a white Christian woman. Now, thank God, my mother, they divorced early, and my mother raised me, and I was raised in a Christian environment. But I think as it pertains to, as it relates to the show and what I've been inspired to do, the vision that I've been given actually blends in a lot of my childhood and understanding and experiencing some of the most unique flavors. I mean, if you were born and grew up around Central Texas, you might have, a palate of
guacamole,
chicken fried. I was going to say chicken fried steak, barbecue, and some Tex-Mex, right?
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
Those are pretty interesting and unique foods. But imagine if you were, a 2-year-old kid waking up and smelling the savory scents of, fried onions and garlic and ginger and cumin and coriander and turmeric and those sort of things, that were coming out of the kitchen from my father. And then, my mother, my grandmother actually was a pastor's wife. My mother was a preacher's kid. And, chicken and fried chicken and, collard greens and all the Southern classics.
Uh-huh.
Chicken and dumplings, one of my favorite, with some pickled beets,
Ooh,
biscuits and gravy every morning, sausage and gravy. One thing that I don't want to go on about it, but one thing that my favorite from my grandmother was chocolate gravy, and even a lot of Southerners haven't had
I've heard of
biscuits and chocolate gravy, but it's like this real thin pudding. So when you take those two kind of backgrounds and heritages and put that into a 2-year-old's mouth or a 3-year-old's mouth, I started with like a really eclectic palate when it comes to food. So yeah, I mean that's background, and I don't know if you want to ask me another question toward that, but that's really growing up and learning about food and having this curiosity for cuisine and exploring that, throughout my career. I'm 45, almost 46 years old. I've had an incredible career that's, more corporate-like in healthcare and technology. And I've been able to travel the world through that career. I've been able to see
taste a lot of different foods, sure.
Yeah, so, if I'm in New York City, I'm indulging. Of course, you can get anything in New York City, but if I'm in Chicago, or if I'm in Miami, or if I'm in Seattle, I always, looked for the best restaurants in those cities.
Right.
And, enjoyed them. And then whenever I started going to Europe and Southeast Asia and South America, you just trying new things was always really important to me.
Awesome. Well, I'm born in Texas. I have a friend that drags me to these places with all the exotic, what I call exotic food, probably not exotic for you.
Yeah.
And it is always an adventure. And it really is. It's more of an adventure than almost a meal.
Sure.
So I could see why you would be excited about what this program you're putting together.
Yeah.
I think that's going to sound like so much fun. Tell us a little bit about it, and then what I'd love to do is you have a wonderful video about it. So tell us a little bit about the program.
Yeah.
Then we're going to take a break for a second and watch that.
Sure. So look, I grew up going to church, as many of us on this program did. I knew God from an early age. I've certainly had my experiences of coming to have a relationship with Jesus. But I was introduced to it in a very early age, and it was just part of my life. as I've grown up and watched television shows and the things that I'm passionate about, you can certainly find Christian programming. And if you're a Christian or a person of faith, you can go see Christian movies. There's a lot more of them out there now. You can go to worship, you can go to church, you can go to a Christian concert. If you're a believer, if you're a person of faith, you know where to go and get fed.
Right.
As I have kind of enjoyed other programming throughout my life. Being a foodie, I've loved the Food Network and I've loved the Travel Channel. And watching shows like Anthony Bourdain, No Reservations, or even Rick Steves. The first time I went to Italy, I just obsessed about Rick Steves and watching him on PBS or even on the internet, learning where I should go in Italy. And I thought, people in the secular world, people may be watching these shows, and it might be a more interesting aspect of ministry,
right,
to present God to them in a way that they can consume, like go into the world and give them the light through maybe even more secular programming.
Right.
And so Food, Wine, and God is planned to be a television show. I've designed 7 seasons with 7 episodes each, so we've got some holy numbers in there. But it really, part of me coming to faith and building a relationship with Jesus has a lot to do with understanding our history, our Christian history, where we came from.
Right.
And certainly we can read in Scripture through the Old Testament to the New Testament. We can read about these places. But I'll tell you, the very first time that I set my feet down on Israel, I realized that I was in a different place. I realized that it was holy land. And I can't describe it, you almost have to do it.
Right.
But I had this rare opportunity that a lot of people in Central Texas and around the world don't get to travel.
Right.
And I want to bring that to them. So it's really taking that love and passion of travel and experience, and through the lens of food. And we can certainly talk about wine. Wine has its place, and it has had its place through biblical history. We can think about the wedding at Cana, that Jesus turned water into wine, but all throughout the Old Testament laws, right? There's pour wine on the sacrifices and those sort of things. But it's a way that the rest of the world can come to experience Jesus in our Christian history, through something that we all do. We all eat every day, right?
Yeah. Let's take a break here and just watch that video. I think it would really help people even understand more of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Having a life and career as rich and diverse as the cuisines that I love, and having traveled the world all over, I'm inviting you on a transcendent journey, a pilgrimage, if you will, into the heart of our human experience, where the soulful flavors of ancient lands meet the stories of our faith. Food, Wine, and God is more than just a feast for the palate. It's a feast for our soul, an opportunity to journey from the birthplaces of Judaism to the vibrant Christian communities of the world today, to explore the world through the lens of our faith, to understand how our beliefs shape our tastes, and to celebrate a rich tapestry of history, culture, and cuisine that brings us together. Join me, Zach Jiwa, on an epic journey to taste and see, to discover the divine intersections of food, wine, and God.
It looks so exciting, Zach. That's going to be fun. So what's next for Food, Wine, and God?
Yeah, it's a great question. That video that you just saw, we filmed actually in Austin. It looks like it's in Jerusalem, but we actually filmed it down in Austin. We wanted to get a promotional video out, but we actually have to raise some money to shoot this program, and I'm going through kind of all aspects. There's a crowdfunding site. If you go to www.foodwineandgod, all spelled out, foodwineandgod.com spelled out. You can watch that video, you can learn a little bit more about the program, but also if you learn more, there's actually a crowdfunding campaign that we set up to raise money to actually shoot the first episode, the pilot episode of Food, Wine, and God. And actually next week I'm flying to Nashville, actually this week, what week are we in? I'm flying to Nashville tomorrow, the International Christian Visual Media Storytellers Conference, to actually pitch Food, Wine, and God to studios. So making a series like this in Christian media is pretty unique and different. You know, it's not something that you would naturally go pitch to Netflix, although I would really hope for someone like Netflix to pick up.
Sure.
But you have to raise the money in order to film it. And so I've got 7 seasons with 7 episodes each season that takes us from cradle of civilization. If you think about where is the Garden of Eden today, let's go there and let's film throughout. That's modern day Iraq, for those who don't know.
Right.
The Euphrates and Tigris, and let's film all the way through cities and explore the food and the wine or the drinks of the region. Interviewing the top chefs. We'll sit down with those chefs. Maybe I'll make a meal. I'm an amateur chef. I say I'm not a real chef. I play a chef on TV, but I have cooked for money, so that makes you a chef.
That's enough.
And so I want to take people through a journey of our Christian faith, and really through the Jewish faith too, where season 4, in the middle of these 7 seasons, is the time of Jesus, and then we'll move through the early church of Acts and Paul's journeys, through the Catholic period, through the Protestant period. We'll cover like the Middle East and Europe.
Wonderful.
And all these amazing flavors and experience God through that.
Oh my goodness, it sounds so exciting, so much fun.
Yeah.
And it'll not only be fun for you, it's going to be fun to watch and learn and experience. And I was thinking, even, you know, I said, I don't get it, Lord. What does, I'll be honest, Food, Wine, and God, what does that, and the Lord just said, who do you think created all those flavors?
Yeah, that's right.
And so it encouraged me to just really want to understand more about what God has created, and I think that's going to be wonderful through your show, and I can tell it's going to be an awesome experience and an opportunity. So I encourage you to go to his website and take advantage of this opportunity to learn more about food, wine, and God. Have a blessed day.